I was just thinking about this as I was preparing for this podcast. I have been on certainly at least twice. I'm gonna out myself, where I've gone on a fast, like a spiritual fast, like time to hear the Lord. So of course I'm not eating, and then I just find my mind wandering, and then I start watching YouTube. As a population, our dependency on quick thrills and wanting all that stimulus all the time is really concerning. Hello everybody, welcome back to Travel Light. It's your friend Dr. Unoma. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for tuning in. For my new friends, I am Dr. Unoma. I am a psychiatrist based in Glasgow, and I am a believer. Guys, I am a lover of Jesus, and I know that his care, his love for us is so deep and extends to everything that concerns us, and as far as I'm concerned, especially our emotional and mental health. I believe Jesus cares deeply about our hearts and wants us to thrive when it comes to our emotions and all that, everything that relates to that. So here at Travel Light, what we're doing is that we are exploring what it looks like to give the Lord access to that space, right? To grow in that area and to allow God to bring us to a place of thriving when it comes to our emotional and mental health. So can I ask you guys, if you haven't taken the opportunity yet, to just use this one now to subscribe to this channel. Also like this video. It means that YouTube gets word that you guys are enjoying what we have to say here at Travel Lights, and more people get to hear about it. And also share it with a friend who you think would benefit from what we have to discuss at Travel Lights. Thanks once again for tuning in, y'all. As you know, we have been talking about rest. We have been talking about the Sabbath, talking about how that's not just a day necessarily. It's an attitude, it's a rhythm, it's a way of being. And today we're going to delve into an idea, a concept of a digital Sabbath. As you know, you probably are like me. You enjoy technology. I enjoy technology. I love most of the things that it provides us. Obviously, it's wonderful. I'm using technology just now to film this. And that includes social media, which is again being used to broadcast this to as many people as possible. So technology is a blessing, but unfortunately there are some downsides to the way that we consume technology in our current culture. We are tech saturated. We cannot get away from it. And I know we're all feeling the impact, right? Most of us are on the phone all the time. If we're not on the phone, we're on our Apple Watches. And if we're on Apple Watches, there's an iPad. And if it's not that, you're on another Zoom call or another Teams meeting. We just can't seem to get away from technology right now. And if that wasn't bad enough, even when we're trying to get to sleep, the blue lights that we've had on all day probably has affected our sleep pattern, and we're not sleeping as well as we did before. And despite all this connectivity, all this stuff keeping us together, quote unquote, we're feeling more disconnected than we've ever been. So it's a really strange time. I just feel like we need to find better ways to cope in this information age. So that's what this is all about. Figuring out how we find balance, how we develop a rhythm so that we are enjoying and not overindulging on what should really be a blessing to us, especially in this generation. So as I mentioned, we're all feeling the impact of constant connectivity. Again, the phones, the emails, the social media, all of that stuff is leading us to multitasking more. Our minds are completely overloaded, and we're finding it difficult to fully rest even when we're chilled out. There is this, again, we've spoken about this on the podcast, this fear of missing out. We don't want to miss out on the next viral thing or the next trend or the next thing that your influencer has to tell you to improve your life. It's difficult. So this is not a thing of judgment. I think it's something that we're all working through right now because this is an unprecedented time. I'm going to share with us some statistics and studies just to show us how much or how badly we are suffering from digital consumption, or how we are doing that anyway. So a study by the American Psychological Association, so the APA, found that 43% of US adults who constantly check their emails, text, or social media report feeling more stress. And this is significantly higher compared to just 28% of people who are more intentional about limiting their digital consumption. The same APA, in a 2017 report, essentially they coined this term called constant checker. And those are people who feel that they need to check their devices over and over. Can you relate? Oh my gosh. And these individuals basically reported feeling high levels of stress, and often due to pressure of feeling like they they had to be constantly available and responsive all the time. I certainly know what that's like, and I've spoken to people who also know what that's like as well. Another study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology found that there was a link between higher social media use and increased levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. And they found that people who spend much more time on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat were more likely to experience mental health challenges, which is, you can kind of see how that would happen, right? Another study by Pew Research found that, apparently men report less stress from social media than women. But women, especially those who use platforms for, say, maintaining family ties, etc., reported experiencing higher stress levels, probably because they felt this pressure to keep kind of maintaining contact virtually and personally as well. Now, sadly, in 2015, Microsoft reported, they published a study that found that the average human attention span has dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds in 2015. So we've lost 4 seconds on average of our attention span. And that's largely due to the way we are consuming digital media at the moment. Can I just say that on average, people now have a shorter attention span than a goldfish, which is around 9 seconds. That's not good. Social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and Facebook, again, they're all about giving you that short burst of content, and you're scrolling. I've fallen into that trap so many times. Like it's terrible, and your brain basically is then being trained to jump from one stimulus to another and not kind of staying on longer form content, which is a struggle at the moment for people. And I think it's worth highlighting that technology, certainly social media, is kind of designed with an addictive nature in mind, and it's designed to keep you engaged. And whilst that's nice to start with, there is a real cost to your mental and emotional well-being. Do you know? I was just thinking about this as I was preparing for this podcast. I have been on. Certainly at least twice. I'm gonna out myself, where I've gone on a fast, like a spiritual fast, like time to hear the Lord. So of course I'm not eating, and it's like yay. And then I just find my mind wandering, and then I start watching YouTube, but not sermons, guys. It's really bad. Like, as a population, our dependency on quick thrills and wanting all that stimulus all the time is really concerning. This stuff has an impact on our mental clarity as well. Certainly a study in 2019 found that people that had prolonged digital consumption often felt brain fog. We all know that what that's like. You feel sluggish mentally, you feel less creative, and also finding difficult to concentrate as well. Again, Harvard Medical School published a study that suggested that the blue light that comes out from our screens, especially when we use those screens before bedtime, will disrupt our natural sleep-wake cycle that God's inbuilt into our system. And the knock-on effect of that is that the following day, your mental clarity is reduced, and it affects with your sleep quality and cognitive performance. So not great. We know as well that social media is having a real impact on mental health, and there are specific populations, specific groups in our population that experience, different issues as a result of social media use. There's a really interesting study from 2018 done by the University of Pennsylvania that found that there was a direct correlation between reducing social media use and a decrease in anxiety and depression symptoms, which is interesting. So people who limited their social media use to 30 minutes a day, they reported feeling much less feelings of loneliness and depression compared with those who continued their regular use in the study. Also, we know that, and again, this is backed up by studies, certainly a study that was published in the Computers in Human Behavior, that social media consumption can really trigger comparison-based anxiety. And people who frequently compare themselves to others online are more likely to experience symptoms of depression and stress as well. And these digital interactions can really just, again, the comparison thing cannot be labored enough. the feelings of anxiety, of inadequacy that we feel. Like it's awful. It really is. And there's just a general restlessness now that kind of is pervasive, that even when we are stopping and not doing things, or we're not on our phones anymore, we are finding that we can't chill. There's a restlessness. And this again points to this need for true Sabbath rest, both from work and from the noise that comes from digital world as well. So we know from studies that when we are intentional about stepping away from our screens from an extended period, there are profound benefits that we can experience. So a study from by the Royal Society for Public Health in 2009 found that the participants who took a break from social media for just 1 week reported a 30% decrease in stress levels and a marked improvement in their overall well-being. 30% is not a small thing. That's a massive shift. And we know again from other studies that if we step away from screens for an extended period, we're going to find out where our focus is better improved. We have reduced anxiety, we're sleeping better, and we have a clearer mind. So these cannot be emphasized enough. Also, when we step aside from screens, step aside from technology, we are creating space to reconnect with God, again, through quiet time, through prayer, through Bible study. Has anybody done this when you're in your quiet time and then, oh my goodness, you pick up your phone? Like, that's just a losing strategy. If you're anything like me, I mean, let's be honest here, we've all done it, right? And it's the worst thing. It breaks that connection. It's not great at all. And again, stepping away from digital distractions allows us to have much more meaningful connections with our friends and our family. How many times are you talking to your spouse or your kids, and then it's like a notification comes up and it breaks connection? I know we're all used to it now, but there's something about it that just doesn't sit right? It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's really serving us the way that it should. When we step away from technology for extended periods, it can have physical benefits as well. We find out our posture is better because we're not crouched on the screen trying to work like this. We find out our eyesight might be better, we better sleep. These are all things that come from being intentional about stepping away and just quieting the noise, the restlessness that comes from overconsumption of media and technology. So let's talk about ways that we can institute a digital Sabbath. So first of all, can I just say, let's take it slowly, right? Because I think to a degree, most of us are probably addicted, right, to social media or technology. So we can take small actionable steps. We can figure out ways we can slowly build up that muscle, being able to step away for increasing periods of time. So it's a good idea to set a day in a week, even if just for a few hours, to be completely offline. Like, no one's going to die. Hopefully. You'll survive. This is something I'm telling to myself as well. Putting your phone on airplane mode during meal times is also quite a good idea, or devotional times. Let's start with that, right? Let's start with the devotional times. When we spend time with Jesus, let's put the phone on airplane mode. And one thing that has worked for some individuals is creating screen-free zones in the home. So bedrooms is a good one because you really want to keep your bed for sleeping. And it just means that when you hit the sack, you fall asleep, right? Dining areas is also another good place to have a screen-free zone, especially if you've got children as well, so that they're not growing in this habit, in this culture of needing their phones all the time. Because their experience is completely different from, say, us millennials, right? I remember having a brick phone. I actually remember that, but I don't think our kids know anything about that. They only know screens and that's it. And remember that the point of having a digital Sabbath, from stepping away from technology, is not just to stop using technology, but it's to intentionally create space for that rest, for that reflection, for that deeper connection with God and for your loved ones. So remember I said, rest isn't inactivity, it's Holy Spirit directed activity. So you know how they say nature abhors a vacuum. So when we stop something, we want to put something else to replace it, something that is beautiful, that will nourish our souls, our spirits, and our bodies. A good thing to do instead of spending time on our screens might be to go for a walk, reading, journaling, spending time in nature. It's just that nature thing is so massive, right? You know how I talked about how I'm trying to climb as many mountains in Scotland. We call them Munros. For my birthday, yeah, with my birthday twin, we walked up Schiehallion. I mean, it was wonderful. It was hard. It was hard, but it just does something to you. It does something to you. There's something about seeing nature in its unadulterated form, seeing the rocks and the clouds, being in the cloud is just so cool. Unfortunately, when we got to the top, like it was completely cloudy and we couldn't see anything, which is a bit sad, but it's worth it. And if you live in Scotland, like me, join me in this quest to conquer as many Munros as you can. So, hope I am convincing you to take this digital Sabbath. Once again, the benefits cannot be emphasized enough. There are spiritual Sabbaths to taking time away from your screens, from technology. There's more time for focus during prayer. There are fewer distractions during worship. How many times has that happened during corporate worship? Maybe if there's a salah moment and someone's phone goes off and it's just so embarrassing. And there's something about, I'm a lover of God's presence. Like there is nothing like it, right? When we become much more deliberate about practicing His presence, stepping away from screens, from technology is really useful because again, that noise gets shut off and it's easier to sense Him and sit in that place of rest. And it's beautiful. And technology isn't vying for your attention. You know it's off. So you're not thinking about it. It's completely off. But when your phone is on or your iPad's on or whatever, you're not on the do not disturb mode, so to speak. You are constantly living in anticipation of a message coming through because especially if you've got stuff you're working on, you're thinking your mind is in two places. There's that thing about multitasking, which I have come to understand is a myth. Like I think if you're doing something, just stick to the thing and do it well, right? Just focus completely on it. I know we all have stories, right? You can reflect on times where you've completely unplugged and it's helped you. I want to hear you guys share about those times in the comments. I keep saying this, don't be shy, guys. Jump in and let's get in the mix. I definitely remember a time where, like, I've spoken about that fast in 2020, in that pandemic. Like, at that point, like, God was basically coming to my dreams, like, I need to speak to you. I need your attention. And I did it. I genuinely did a complete switch off, right? I completely like turned off my phone. I didn't want any distractions whatsoever. And it was, as I say, it was so profound. Like the clarity of God's voice. I live for that. I really do. It was wonderful. And that really, really, really marked me. So thank God that I did that. But coming back to our chat about the Sabbath and rest. And, I've been saying it's not about a day or hours or minutes or whatever. It really is about creating sustainable rhythms in this tech-heavy, distraction-filled, restless world that we find ourselves. We want to get into a place where we are able to do this regularly because everybody knows what it's like, right? Everyone's done a detox. You've done a detox where you completely, cut away or cut out fast food or whatever. You cut out processed food for, say, 21 days, or you went on a Daniel fast for 21 days and it was great and there was benefits and you felt it. But right after that, you went back to the way you lived, right? And then all the benefits that you enjoyed at that time, maybe slowly over time you lost. So there's a difference between a detox, which I think those things are necessary. So digital detoxes are necessary per time. But there's something more powerful about living, I'll put it this way. There's a difference between having a fast, periodically. And those things are important, those extended periods. but living a fasted lifestyle where you're not gorging all the time, but you're living in contentment and in moderation and just not being ruled by food. That's what we're talking about here. Coming to a place where you can enjoy technology without technology ruling over you. That is the point about this digital Sabbath. So, yes, we start by taking these small, actionable steps, slowly by slowly building up that muscle and learning, my gosh, what it feels like not to have your phone or be dependent on your phone all the time. Do you know, I lead a choir, right? A church choir. And, we're all singing, when the song comes on, we're all singing and singing and singing. God forbid we have to stop and then the instrumentalists have to work something out. I notice everybody just quickly jumps to their phone. Everyone's scrolling. I'm like, oh, this is bad. We can't even enjoy the lull for a minute. We're just going right back to our phones. And I'm not going to lie. I very, very often will jump into that mind frame as well. But it's just not working. We need to learn again what it feels like to be quiet without needing to distract our minds, to find quiet uncomfortable. I don't think that it needs to be like that. So again, it's about living that fasted lifestyle, living that rhythm where we're not controlled by technology, but we are enjoying its benefits to its maximum and rejecting its control over us. So thank you so much again for joining in. I hope I have convinced you that there are benefits, profound benefits, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in unplugging from our screens and taking time out to reconnect with ourselves, connect to God, reconnect with our family, and being fully present in the moment, because technology often robs us of that gift. We've also spoken about being wise, taking small actionable steps that we can maintain over time. So yes, we can do a digital detox. If you really need one, you feel like, yeah, I need to really break this off. 3 days, cold turkey, good for you. But what we want is to create something as sustainable over time so that we are not basically going back to old ways of being, right? I've also emphasized that disconnecting from technology is an act of reclaiming control over your time, getting your attention back, and also your well-being. So not to be ruled by AI and robots and technology and computers and all that kind of stuff. So thank you once again for joining. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about how rest can help you grow in your creativity. I really do believe that every human being, everyone who has come from God, which is everybody, is made in his image and likeness, and he's a creator. And so we are creative. So there's something about the world and how it's so busy right now that really interferes with that creative nature that we inherently have. So we're going to talk about that, how rest can unlock creativity and innovation. Woo. So stay connected, guys. And to close out, I wanted to read a portion of scripture to remind us about the importance of unplugging. It's Psalm 46, verse 10. Again, one of our core scriptures here at Travel Light. It says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Guys, let's get comfortable with the stillness again. Let's get comfortable with the quietness once again as we unplug, trusting in God's presence as we step away from the noise of technology. Thanks again, guys. Till the next episode, continue to travel light, and I will see you soon.